Tough decision sounds like it's been made. I got to give credit where credit is due. The Cleveland Browns have reportedly done the right thing, and they will sit down Deshaun Watson for Sunday's game. That's something I called for on yesterday's show. I really didn't see any other path, Ryan Tyler, to how they were going to approach this weekend. It's not quite all doom and gloom. It's a tough game, I get that. They got to start P.J. Walker, but it became apparent when Deshaun Watson cannot practice, you have got to establish that with your team. You have to establish the importance that if you don't practice, you don't play. I understand it's the quarterback. It's the most important position, and you know you don't have a chance if he doesn't play. But you have to establish that. You have got to prepare your team now that it will be P.J. Walker playing. They probably were already doing that. Shout out to Jeff Shadell. Jeff had a little nugget from yesterday. He walked up to P.J. Walker and he said, "Can I ask you a question?" And Walker goes, "No, I'm going to talk to you guys tomorrow." The cat is out of the bag. Deshaun Watson not playing. It's P.J. Walker. Where's your confidence level with the Browns' future with Deshaun Watson? Ohio State tomorrow will not be able to really watch the game, but we'll place a wager on it. We got our NFL picks. We got Noah Weiskopf. We got Sonny Gupta. We got it all for you on a Football Friday right here on Big Play. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Matt Fontana. He is Ryan Tyler. Good morning. Happy to have along here on a Friday. I love mornings like this, Ryan. A little chill. I think it's supposed to rain. I hate gale force winds, whatever. It's fall. I love fall. In Cleveland, we're here. And we start with the unfortunate news that Deshaun Watson will not play on Sunday. And it's reported from Josina Anderson. We've gotten these nuggets. I mean, let's call it for what it is, guys. The trail was always leading to this. We were always going towards this, where Deshaun Watson wasn't going to play this weekend against the San Francisco 49ers. And I said yesterday that was the right call for a lot of different reasons. I guess, namely, the first reason has to be if he's not 100% and he can't effectively run the offense or play, he's out. Other levels, further injure his shoulder and whatever that injury is and make it worse. Those are really the top two for me. And I think you're afforded to sit him because of where you're at in the season. If you wake up Monday and we're 2-3, we're still in this, you put a lot of pressure on the rest of the season, but that's where we're at. And you have to hope and believe that another week off and another week of the rehab and then getting into a rehab week next week, that is enough that you can flush this shoulder on out. And I think that's where some people have really turned their attention to. Is this something the time off will actually fix? I don't know the answer to that question. Nobody does, clearly, because if the Browns knew that answer, they would have been able to navigate this a little bit differently. It's unknown situation. It's an injury. Things like this happen. But we've almost got to a point of no return. And you want to tell me that the Browns without Deshaun Watson might be able to beat the Colts? I could maybe listen to that and maybe give them another week. I don't know. I am just operating for today and for this weekend. The right move was sitting Deshaun Watson. From an offensive standpoint, if he can't throw the football, what are you going to do? And from what I understand, and from some of the things that I've discussed with some people, it's not that he can't throw. He's throwing, but it's 5 yards. They're little just kind of dink and dunk passes. It's when you got to launch and you have to really step back and fire that football. If you can't throw it 10 yards, you can't play. That's just, there's no way that any offense will be able to. That'd be the West Coast offense to the nth degree. Bill Walsh would be smiling, I think, in his grave. I hate doing
Jesus
that.
Christ.
I hate doing that.
Happy Friday the 13th, Matt.
Bill Walsh is no longer with us. All right, just making sure. That fouls me up from time to time. Shout out to Dino Lucarelli, if you know about that on my prior stop. Bill Walsh is no longer with us. So Bill Walsh on the West Coast offense there. 3-yard passes left and right. You'd love that. It'd be great. You can't do that. There's no way. And especially when your run game is not what you expect it to be, you can't play him. From an offensive standpoint, you just can't. The positive to take out of it, P.J. Walker knows he's going to play. Kevin Stefanski can go all in on that game plan for P.J. Walker. We know Stefanski said Wednesday that they could create 2 game plans and they have to kind of shift and change some things up on Sunday in the game. But you now know that. You have I'm assuming they made this decision yesterday. I'm assuming PJ Walker knew yesterday. So you really have a full 72 hours to create something and figure it out. Then there's the other part of what Sunday might look like. Do you go all out and you pull out trick plays, fake punts? God, that fake punt from the Kansas City Chiefs sucked. Or fake field goal yesterday was trash. That game was trash. I'll give Denver credit for this. They are so bad that their stink impacts other teams. Their stink made its way 50 yards across the field at Arrowhead and seeped into the Kansas City Chiefs sideline. Now, not the defense. Like, I guess give credit for Kansas City on defense, but adage have always said that. It's like shooting a cardboard box with a shotgun. It looks really cool. Wow. What did you actually prove? Nothing. So the Chiefs defense playing well against the Denver offense. I don't really know if I have much at, but bad game. But nonetheless, Ryan and I both covered by a half point there. Well done on Tipico. So we'll get to our picks coming up later. But will Kevin Stefanski go into this game and lay it all out and trick it up? And sometimes reverses people, as soon as they start the reverse, I can hear the groans from households across Northeast. Oh, God, here we go. Another reverse to Elijah Moore. A trick pass here, double pass. That would be a way that you could try to keep this game close, and I'm holding out hope they win. I'm a Browns fan. I go to every game hoping they win. But the flip side to that is you are emptying your tank. Sometimes coaches don't like showing things. There are coaches, most, that have plays that they only run once. They are break glass in case of emergency, 2-point conversion, or a sticky fourth down or something like that, and they have all these plays designed up, then you really only run it one time. Everybody's got their base. The Browns cannot run their base offense. They cannot run their base offense. And I could have said that when Nick Chubb went down with his injury. Now, you are missing the two most important people on your offense. And potentially Joel Bitonio. Nobody has been talking about Joel Bitonio. He has 104 or at least 100 game consecutive start streak. That might come to an end. He's battling an injury. He's on crutches. Let's talk about that for a second. You can't play Bitonio either. Myles Garrett, I know his foot is healed, supposedly, and he should be good to go. But a guy like Bitonio who's got a serious injury, Ethan Posick returned to practice, he's got a knee. Ryan, you have to have serious conversations about, do you put those guys out there? And if you want him to go out to start the game for the optics of the team, and I know Joel Bitonio doesn't care about that start streak. He's an Iron Man. He's one of the heart and soul players on this team. He's a warrior, all those kind of things. I get that. But it's more about the team. When the team is sacrificing to get out there, you want to show them that. So if you want to start a guy like Bitonio and then, if things go bad, you're going to pull him out of there, sure. But then all these questions start to get raised about the legit chance that you have to win this game. It's slim.
I think both teams should be fair and just start their second units and see what happens.
Yeah, do that. Dude, I don't know why. I still believe Kyle Shanahan, he could run out a JV high school team and still be able to take it to some teams. That's how good Kyle Shanahan is. We'll get to our Friday report card coming up. Very heavily weighted towards the West Coast. We'll put it that way. But I have a lot of faith and belief in what Kyle Shanahan is and what he does. I think he's the best coach in football. That's no shot at Andy Reid.
How about the tidbit though that Shanahan is 1-8 or it's either 1-7 or 1-8 against Schwartz teams, Schwartz-led defenses.
I did not see that stat. That's a good pull there.
Yeah, how about that?
That's a good pull right there. Okay. All right, maybe Jim Schwartz, and that's the same thing. Jim Schwartz on defense, some exotic stuff, maybe get after it, but you're facing a monster. You are facing an absolute monster with San Francisco and specifically on their offense. And I don't want to forget that they got Nick Bosa. Is Javon Kinlaw playing in this game? He's been battling injury. I don't think he played in their last game. Should have seen that. I don't see any news for him. So there you go. All right. Was it Javon Kinlaw or was it somebody else? I think they were missing another D tackle. Anyway, as good as their offense is, that's kind of how scary their defense can be too. The biggest question that we have, now that we know that Deshaun Watson is out, I accept that. Browns made the right call. And I don't really, frankly, think there was another call to be made. But I'll still give them credit for making the right call. The question is the future. And I'm talking about the 12 games beyond Sunday. I'm talking about the 3 years that we have left on this deal, or for 4 years, really, probably beyond. You could try to tell me the next 8 years. Because when you signed Deshaun Watson, when you traded for him, the belief is that he would be here for 12 years, playing at an elite level in what should have been the prime of his career, and you have gotten off to a rocky start. If you want to include the suspension last year, what is it, Ryan? He has played in 9 games and missed 13. Suspension, sure. But at this point, even just this season, he will have played in 3 games, Cincy, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, and now he's going to miss his second. And in those 3 games that he played, we all know there was only 1 game that was really worth anything to write home about. So in 5 games, he's had 1 good game, and he's missed 2 of them. What's that future for you? What is that future for the Cleveland Browns? And we joked weeks ago at this point about how we could get out of the Watson contract or what it is. There really is no way. When the Browns made that move for Deshaun Watson, as we all know, they put every egg that they had into that basket and said that this is the guy. This is the guy to take us to the Super Bowl. We are off to a bad start. Off the field stuff included, now on the field stuff. It's off to a bad start. We have to leave room for it will turn around. And I just saying that, how many Browns fans out there just cringed? Your toes just curled up. It'll turn around. It'll get better. Have faith. These are the right people. 23 freaking years, Ryan. 24, really. 24 years. It's been the motto of the Cleveland Browns. It'll get better. It's okay. Got to ask one more time for it. Gonna have to ask for it one more time. So we'll post this on our Twitter question this morning, at Matt Fontana Show. Really been feeling love. Appreciate everybody that joins us a little bit for your morning, whether you're with us the whole morning, just a little piece. Dropping us a follow, at Matt Fontana Show. Getting that Twitter count up. We're getting the social YouTube pages doing really well. Our Instagram is on fire, at Matt Fontana Show. We'll post this on Twitter. Are you worried about the Browns' future with Deshaun Watson? Are you concerned about the Browns' future with Deshaun Watson? Yes or no is the answer. That's it. We sit here today wondering a lot of these things. There will always be people that go back to the day they signed him, they didn't want him, right? Okay, so there's always there. We've talked about this before, the faction of Browns fans. You've got the extreme on one side, the extreme on the other, and a lot of us live in the middle. Again, a reflection of the world that we live in. There will be people that always will hate, there will be people that always will love Deshaun Watson. But for most of us, it is as simple as he plays quarterback for the team that I love. People always say, I root for the front of the jersey, not the back of the jersey, right? I root for this team, the Browns. Players come and go. And it's not that we can't fall in love with players or have players that mean a little bit more to us, the beloved Nick Chubbs of the world, the beloved Joel Batonios of the world. I think Amari Cooper has really become a big fan favorite here in town, rightly so. He's a damn good player. He's a great guy. David Njoku, certainly. The warrior that he is, absolutely. Those players will not play for the Cleveland Browns one day. I hope that's way in the future, right? But players come and go. So we sit here always rooting for the Cleveland Browns. And that has always ever been my thing with Deshaun Watson. I didn't like him for the off-the-field stuff. I've said that. I've said it before. And there was a point that I moved on from it. And the reason I moved on from it was because the victims in the case moved on from it. And that's their business. That is not my business. That is their business. And I don't like what he was doing. I don't think anybody really does. We move on. And I've always just kept it to football. So when I talk about just football and the team that I love, am I concerned about where the Cleveland Browns sit? If there's any hesitation, like that sigh you just heard from me, my vote should be yes, right? That there's concern. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Because at this point, it's too early. It is too early. I flushed last year. I'm not talking, last year's gone, right? So this year, yeah, he didn't play well when he was healthy. You had this big impact with Nick Chubb. I'm going to believe, as maybe the idiot Browns fan that I am, that they will turn this around. They'll get it fixed. Injuries cannot be accounted for. They can't be game planned for. You face, and it's not an outlandish thing, right? It's football. Guys get hurt. But I have no choice but to hope and believe that the Cleveland Browns are on the right path. Vote on that at Matt Fontana Show. We'll get into that as we continue on. We bring in Noah Weiskopf. He joins us pretty much every week right here on the show. Noah, we always appreciate your time. You can follow him on Twitter at Browns with Noah. Of course, covering the Browns for Sports Illustrated. He's on IG as well, Browns with Noah as well. Noah, we start with that exact question. Are you concerned about the Browns' future when it comes to Deshaun Watson?
I'm not. I think that he has time here. I know it's not ideal to miss some of these big games. And to be honest, it'd be really nice, at least for fans, to know that the Browns are able to compete with these juggernauts of teams like the 49ers are. But if you look at the schedule in the future, it's very favorable. So if you still are one of those to think that Deshaun Watson hasn't settled in yet or hasn't gotten into his rhythm or what you think he can do with Cleveland, I think those teams are a really good show, good chance for him to show what he's able to do. So starting next week with the Colts, and then I know that as we go on, there's a stretch, I think, from week 11-ish to towards the end of the season where it's very, very favorable. But I don't think it's a time to be concerned. I think that it's a little bit deeper than just a bruise. Obviously, he's not going to miss this much time with just a bruise. I think it's a little bit deeper. But I also think it's a testament to who Deshaun Watson is. I don't know if anyone's heard this perspective before, but he's played on a torn ACL at Clemson. He's played, I think it was a lacerated liver, something like that.
That was like a punctured lung or something. He had to drive in the car, something like that. He had to drive to Jacksonville. Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, so he's a tough dude, and if he's able to be out there, he'll be out there. And obviously, it was up for debate with Baker when he was playing here. He had that shoulder injury that lingered all year, and he went out there continuously and played. And fans were like, if you can't play, don't play. This is what Deshaun Watson's doing, guys. He's not playing. He can't play. He can't make the necessary throws. And so PJ Walker is going to be the likely starter here and give them the best chance to win.
How do you think they've handled all this, Noah? We've discussed it all week. Your fresh perspective on this. How do you think the Browns have handled this situation last week and even this week when it comes to Watson's shoulder?
Yeah, I think with Kevin Stefanski, it's always been sort of a open for interpretation kind of thing. He's never willing to get into details with anything. It's always been a day-to-day kind of thing, and I think that was the case last year. I don't remember exactly which player it was, but there was a player at the beginning of the year where he was day-to-day, and I think it was a couple weeks later he might have ended up on IR, or a couple weeks later he hadn't even played yet. So it's one of those things where it's not labeled as week to week because I guess Kevin Stefanski doesn't want to necessarily rule him out because there's always that chance that he can play. I wouldn't say they've handled it terribly. I mean, what do you need? What is in it for the Browns? I mean, it's whatever they think. So if he's able to go, he's able to go. If he can't, he can't. And all that stuff is going to stay pretty much internal, which is what they've done. And they still haven't officially ruled him out yet.
Right.
We'll see. That'll probably happen today. So,
boy, what a turn that would be, Noah, as if these reports really aren't true and they all of a sudden do. You know, Deshaun Watson could wake up this morning and go, man, that shoulder's starting to feel pretty good. Let me go throw a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if they've made the decision internally yet. I'm not sure if they've told PJ Walker he's going to be the starter or anything like that. But I'm assuming that today when Kevin Stefanski speaks to the media, he'll rule him out. I think it'll be super interesting if Kevin Stefanski comes out and says, we're going to list him as questionable and see where the weekend takes us. I think that'll throw everyone off, but I think that they'll ultimately rule him out today.
Well, and Noah Weiskopf joining us. Follow him on Twitter and IG at Browns with Noah. I said that of people trying to give me you're giving the 49ers ammo. And I said, they don't need any ammo. It's the 49ers. Like, if you're not starting Deshaun Watson, the game is up. The game is up at all. So, I never bought into the trying to give a little extra to the 49ers. On the handling of the Browns, I guess, I just go back to, I think Stefanski slipped last week when he said he felt like in the bye week that Deshaun Watson was going to play against the 49ers. Now, I don't hold that against him, because we know an injury, like if it was up to Stefanski or probably even up to Watson, he would play. He wants to play. It's an injury. Things like this can happen. But I think just now that change, where last week he said, yeah, I feel like he's going to play. Now they've shifted to, yeah, just day to day, day to day, day to day. I think the Browns learned a little lesson there. And I was just critical of them on basically how they've handled. I wanted them to get a hold of this situation. And I think they did by saying, if you can't practice, you can't play. And I think they did the right thing this week.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think going back to what you said about playing the 49ers, I don't necessarily think that this is more of a Browns decision than it is a Deshaun Watson decision. I genuinely think that Deshaun, well, he was obviously medically cleared to play and he couldn't go. So until he's feeling the ability where he's able to go out there and throw, I think that's really all there is to this story. I don't think there's too much more. I don't think there's some crazy thing going on behind the scenes that the Browns aren't getting out. But yeah, I think that Deshaun's going to be back when he's able to be 100% and throw the ball wherever it needs to go. But in the meantime, the Browns are confident with PJ Walker. I know that a lot of Browns fans are pretty much ruling this game out with everything, injuries, Bitonio, Njoku, Deshaun Watson. But PJ Walker, I think he's 4-3 as a starter when he played with Carolina. This dude's been here for about a month. The Browns are pretty confident in his ability. And I think when he was in Carolina, he beat Tom Brady in the Bucs in one of those games. So who knows? I mean, the NFL is a week-to-week game, and I don't think that it's necessary to rule the Browns out. Obviously, with the injuries and everything adding up, stuff is not in their favor. But, just home field, we'll have to wait and see. And I think that also with injuries, David Njoku being out after being able to play with those burns, I think that's something that I've even looked a little bit more into than Deshaun Watson. I'm not sure if there's something additional that we don't know about, or if the burns get a little bit better before they get worse. I know there's a chance of infection when stuff like that kind of happens.
Right. I heard a lot of people talk, staph infections, and locker rooms and training rooms are ripe for staph infections.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. Hopefully we'll hear more from Kevin Stefanski today if he rules him out as well.
What about Bitonio? I brought him up. That's another one that I look at with the knee. He didn't practice either the last 2 days. Obviously, Bitonio doesn't need to practice. He is almost like the Joe Thomas of like, dude, if you can just get through the week, like you're fine. You'll be able to go out on Sunday. He's got that snap streak, and there's 104 straight starts, not snap, but starts. And that's another concern for me. Like, to your point, exactly. Like, we focus on Watson. I take a little like solace in like, okay, we know Watson's out now. At least we can move forward with that. But now you're right. I turn my attention to Njoku and Bitonio and wonder if those guys are going to be able to play. Or, let me ask you this, should they play? A game where we know what we're facing. We know how hard it's going to be. If these guys are truly this banged up, maybe they need a week off too.
Yeah, well, Njoku and Bitonio aren't going to play or not expected to play. So if they were able to play in any capacity, they would be out there, especially Bitonio. I mean, that dude has been out there, like you said, 104, I think it is. Straight. And if he was able to be out there, he would. And obviously the same with Njoku. We saw him fight right back right after he suffered the burns 2 days later and play. So we'll see if that affects either of them long-term heading into the week after with the Colts and then beyond. So we'll see. But I think with any of these guys, if they're able to play, they'll be out there. But there's no reason, especially this early in the season, to put anything deeper in jeopardy.
Browns with Noah on Twitter and Instagram. It's Noah Weiskopf joining us right here on the Matt Fontana Show. Noah, let's flip it over to the 49ers, and they just have everything going for them right now. Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion, is the best coach in football. They have weapons. Their defense is so very good. If I had to ask you in a grand scheme, know that it's Mount Everest we got to climb, what would be the way the Browns could get a win Sunday? What's something that the 49ers might be able to exploit a little bit?
If the Browns defense suffocates the Niners offense, which I know is a crazy concept, but the Browns have been, outside of that Ravens game, the Browns defense has been electric. So if they're able to suffocate that run game, I know that they have so many weapons in the passing game, but if they're able to just lock everything down, which they have done in the past against teams like the Titans, for example. I know the 49ers are much, much better offense, but they were able to just essentially shut down the Titans offense. They need to just build on momentum. If they need to score, they need to drive down, get the ball for a score early, drive down, score a touchdown, get PJ Walker settled in, and have the defense pretty much carry them the rest of the way, which is something even before the year, forget Deshaun Watson and PJ Walker and who's going to start. Before the year, I had told a lot of people that the Browns defense is going to have to carry them to wins this year, which a lot of people thought I was crazy for. But it's going to be that case. It's been that case in the past already this season. And that's, if they want to win, then that's pretty much going to be what's going to happen on Sunday.
Another kind of in the week topic, but wanted to get your thoughts. All of these trade speculation things. Garrett Bowles won't go away. We discussed him last week. I've seen articles about Cortland Sutton. Bill Barnwell brought up Dearness Johnson. That was a guy that we brought up on this show, too, as if you really needed to address the running back situation. No, do you think the Browns make a trade in the coming week? Obviously, we'll probably have you on next week to discuss it all, but do you think there's something brewing there, or they really need just more focus on the team that they have right now?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything actively brewing, if that's what you're asking, but certainly they can make a depth move if it's for the right price. And I think that them making a move for a guy like Garrett Bowles or someone like that will give them a lot of depth and will give them versatility as well, especially with this Bitonio injury on the horizon here and the uncertainty, I guess, so to speak, at least from the outside at the tackle positions. So we'll see if they make any sort of depth moves on the offensive line. Dearness Johnson's a guy that would make a lot of sense. I'm not sure if they are inclined to do so, but definitely would make sense. His familiarity with the system. He's just a tough runner. Played really well when given opportunities in Cleveland. So I think that would be one that makes a lot of sense. But again, I wouldn't rule anything out in this league, but I would pretty much say it's very, very unlikely for the Cortland Sutton type of move or Jerry Jeudy or anything like that.
We'll talk Jerry Jeudy a little bit later, man. When Steve Smith starts laying a smackdown and then you go out and have, 2 receptions or whatever, negative yards at one point, I'm not in on Jared Jeudy. And I think, I've said you can't have Jed Wills and Garrett Bowles both on this team. Just from a roster money standpoint, you can't have it. And I don't think there's any way they're going to be able to unload Jed Wills. So he's going to have to continue on as your left tackle.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they still have confidence in Jedrick Wills. It's just, it is what it is. The front office, the coaching staff, they all have confidence. And I think that it's almost a shock to a lot of people because he was a first-round pick, able to develop with Bill Callahan and just never really turned that corner. But again, there's still hope. They still have confidence in him. So he's going to be the starting left tackle for the foreseeable future, barring something unforeseen.
I hate to do it. It's mean to do, but a lot of DNs turn the corner on Jed Wills. He did not turn the corner with Bill Callahan. We'll walk it off on that. No, we really appreciate the time. Follow him on Twitter at Browns with Noah and also on IG. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I hate to end it on just this sour shot there on Jed Wills. There's a lot of DNs that turn the corner on him. Let me tell you that. Ah, that poor guy. There's a world he's a good football player, Ryan. I don't know if it's going to be in Cleveland. It just might be this thing. Serenity now. It is what it is. All right, when we come back, we got the report card. We know it's going to be a tall task for the Browns on Sunday, but we'll go through the quarterbacks, skill players, defense, all that. Where does it shake out? We do have something for the Browns that the 49ers don't have. We'll tell you what that is when we return. The line has already moved. I was tweeting with Padone yesterday. It started at 3. It's all the way to 9.5. Folks, it's going to be double digit before the game started. It's all about when you place your bets sometimes, and you place your bets with Typical. I saw, Ryan, somebody reached out to you on Twitter, I saw, was asking about a bet, and you referred them to Typico. Yeah. Great boosts, great odds. We love playing with Typico. They're great sports books. That's all right. We'll be right back in a second. Not to cut off Typico.
I got so excited because I was gonna say about Typico why they're so awesome.
You were just trying to get their QR code up there for people to scan. I get it.
This like you mentioned, I posted my Marvin Mims bet, which didn't turn out, but that's okay.
Yeah, I didn't get my
he asked what book I was using. I said Typico, and I just want to say that another guy that why I did the Marvin Mims bet, I followed another guy who made the bet, and not only he did 60 yards plus a touchdown, I only did 50 yards plus a touchdown for Marvin Mims, and I almost had plus 1,000 more odds.
I mean, and that's
crazy.
And that's your rolling the dice on just that one-time score. I think the boost that you and I both grabbed was the Chiefs minus 10.5 and a Kelsey anytime touchdown score. That was boosted pretty good. I think that was 260 something. So not only the straight bets, which Ryan and I will run through a little bit later, but they have these in-game boosts. They have them for college. They have them for baseball playoffs. You're telling me I stayed away from baseball yesterday, so now we know it's the Phillies that have advanced. And of course, so what do we got? We got the Astros and the Rangers, and now we have the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. Fade me if you want. I feel like we're staring down the barrel of a Phillies-Astros World Series. I just do. So if you want to go place a bet on that. The other thing that I saw a lot of people doing are the exact playoff. Like, it's a 7-game series, right? 7-game in the CS. Yeah, 5 is what we're at. So we're at 7. So if you think that the Astros are going to win 4-2, you can go place that bet. The other thing I've been seeing a little bit of, people picking exact scores in hockey.
Oh.
So you want to go like 3, like the Jackets played yesterday. They lost, I think, 4-2. Go pick that exact score. It's a lot of fun. I love betting with Tipico. You need some bet credits to start out. Download the app. Go to the website. Big play 150. You deposit 50. You get 150 in bonus bets, and then you get that $30 dog pound bet moving forward. So just on that is $230 worth of bet credits that you're getting for 50, and place your bets. And I don't talk about this enough. There are safeguards that I really have used a lot in my sports betting now that we've had it for, coming up on a year. One of the ones that have really done me well, Ryan, and pass along to the people, 10%. Whatever your bankroll is, which is what your account is, only ever bet 10% of it. So if you have $230 in there, only place $20 bets. Don't go, in there and say, I'm going to put it all and I'm going to let it ride on this one bet. Now, you can do that if you want, if you feel super uber confident on a pick, sure. But really to have fun with it as we do, just always keep it at 10%. Keep it at the $10, $15 level. And then as you build your bankroll, you can start upping your bets. And that's kind of how I roll with Tipico. I love it. It's so much fun. You can set those limits on there too. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. Check those out on Tipico's website. But use that code BIGPLAY150 to get signed up and join us for our bets. You had a good week last week. I struggled a little bit last week, but the picks are coming up. We'll get you those. We got the report card. We're locked and loaded here. Football Friday edition of the Matt Fontana Show right here on Big Play. Can get PJ Walker in there? I'm just kidding. Ryan does a great job putting together
Matt,
the Friday report card.
I almost did, then I was like, you know what? No.
Nah, it's all right. Then you just got to change it again next week. As we always do, it is the Friday report card. We go up and down, tell you about the Browns, tell you about their opponent and who they're facing. Deshaun Watson already in there, so why take him out? I get it. I'm not trying to make more work there for Ryan.
We do have PJ Walker's stats on Carolina to the left there, so.
There we go. So we're going to dive into it now, as we always do on Friday. We compare the Browns and their opponent, and they welcome in the 5-0 juggernaut San Francisco 49ers. That'd be a great name for a team.
The Juggernauts?
But then the problem is their nickname would be the Jugs, and I don't think the NFL wants that.
Why not?
And also, it's like a powerful thing, so if you're not living up to it, there's jokes to be read. You know this? They're going to rename the Commanders.
Yeah.
Yeah, that new. I don't want anyone to get to the report card. I'll tell you that, because it's very skewed the other way. Go with the Sentinels. Why are they not the Washington Sentinels from their replacements? Can they not buy that name? Wasn't that the name from the XFL team or something that they put there? Making them Sentinels.
I like that.
Why not? Commanders suck. Literally, they suck, and I don't like the name either, but it is what it is. Friday report card, we start with the quarterbacks. You see right here on the screen, the Browns and the 49ers. When you are almost over double your QBR, something to be said. Brock Purdy.
Look at those numbers.
72% completion percentage. Do you know who that is? That's Kyle Shanahan. And again, I think this is the battle that people have had all week. Purdy throws for 4 touchdowns last week, and what is Kittle and all these guys coming out there saying, nobody is giving Brock Purdy the respect or the credit that is due. 9 touchdowns, not a single interception, the completion percentage. And I sit there and I truly say, and this is a kind of a big, giant picture NFL scheme thing, where is completion percentage the player or the scheme? It's never only just one. If you have a guy that's inaccurate, and there's always a debate in football, can you teach accuracy? His completion percentage is going to be down. When I look at completion percentage, I look at scheme. Are you actually scheming guys open, right? You watched last night. Travis Kelce is one of the best offensive weapons in football. Denver is not stupid enough to sit there and say, well, yeah, we're not going to cover him. And he gets open. Why? The scheme. The scheme. And they said it on the broadcast. Kirk Herbstreit mentioned there are just routes that Travis just runs and he just gets open. He ad-libs. That's scheme for completion percentage. Again, I, in a way, am disrespecting Brock Purdy with this, but that tells you about Kyle Shanahan. That tells you about what he gets with guys getting open, and he makes it easy for Brock Purdy. I know that Brock Purdy is not the most talented quarterback. You know how I know that? He was the last pick of the draft. And I'm not saying that he hasn't ascended or gotten better, and I want to give him due credit. But it will always start with Kyle Shanahan. It will always start with Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion. And you look at these gaudy numbers, and you realize that Kyle Shanahan can just do it with so many different players, and he's doing it now with Brock Purdy. Are the yards there? Not necessarily, because Brock Purdy is only 9th in the NFL when it comes to yards on the season. But he is number 2 in completion percentage.
Number 1 in QBR.
Number 2 in yards per attempt or per completion. So you're telling me that he doesn't throw it that often, by the way. Like, as far as attempts this season, Brock Purdy, dude, how about this? He is 27th in the NFL in attempts per game. There are guys that haven't even played 5 games that have more attempts than he does.
Yeah,
he's played in all 5.
When you got Christian McCaffrey, and then also when you're up the whole time, you know what I mean?
But that you're right, and that tells you to the efficiency level. Yeah. We're not going to throw it very often, but when we do, we're going to complete it, and we're going to complete it for almost 10 yards per completion. Scary. And give Brock Purdy credit for that. He gets it to his playmakers, and it is that system that I think every coach dreams of. It's not on the quarterback. It's not all on the quarterback. And that is a positive to give relief to Brock Purdy, to give relief to Kyle Shanahan, and sometimes what? Get out of the way. Get that ball to George Kittle and let him work. Get it to Debo, get it to Ayuk, get it to Christian McCaffrey, and we'll take care of the rest. And the confidence, too, that you have a genius in Kyle Shanahan. You flip it over for PJ Walker, and these are, as you mentioned, his career statistics. As we talked with Noah Weiskopf, if you missed it, go back. Browns with Noah joined us. The reason PJ Walker is starting this game is because he has started games in the NFL before. That is the twist. That is the turn that you just couldn't have with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. You needed to sell to the team. Here's a guy that we have a little more confidence in, and here's a guy that we can scheme an offense up to. You read into those stats what they were. He was in Carolina when they were tanking. They weren't a really good football team. I know a lot of people jumped on some of his stats in the Canadian League. I mean, the guy can play. I mean, he can play. I still think Dorian Thompson-Robinson, when all said and done, will be a better quarterback. But right now, today, PJ Walker is a better quarterback than Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And there is that element, I think, probably the biggest reason he's starting, he's going to handle this a little better, of all the turmoil, everything that's going on, and he's got to walk out onto a football field on Sunday and stare across and see Nick Bosa and that defense for the 49ers. I hope he will handle that a little bit better, because he has faced that before, Ryan, and that's probably why PJ Walker got the start. So yeah, we dive into the stats. I mean, those are what? Backup quarterback stats.
Yep.
That's what they are. And that's what PJ Walker is, and you're going to ask him to pull a miracle off. You want to go legend PJ Walker? Go do that. We'll name sandwiches for you across the country, or across Northeast Ohio, I mean. We'll name sandwiches for you. I don't know if it'll quite get to the level of naming babies, because we did that with another quarterback, but I digress. We continue on.
Wait. I forgot.
You forgot that people...
naming your son Baker.
There
right
were
now.
people that did.
I know.
There were.
Like he was the next Messiah.
Maybe they really liked the name. I don't know. I don't begrudge anybody. Name your kid whatever you want. It's your kid. They just really liked the name. I don't know. You'll find this one day. So for our son, for our first son, we had his name picked out forever. We knew exactly what his name was going to be. It's a family name, his great-grandfather's name, my dad's middle. Like that's our first son's name was our son. And then we had a stone cold lock for if it was a girl. Well, lo and behold, we had our girl. So it was a stone cold lock that her name is her name. Then we got into the gray area because we didn't find out with our second. So we were sitting there. We had the girl's name, but my wife and I really had debated hard on what the boy's name was going to be. And if we have a third, we're really out of the locks, you know. So that's where as you sit there and like you read through the baby book and you read the 1,000 names and you're scrolling through and you scratch them out. You know what you'll find maybe one day, Ryan? I want no pressure on you. As you come up with names, you just realize, like, you think of that name and you think of somebody you know.
Associate it with somebody.
You know what I mean? Yep. Like, and it's not always negative, but sometimes it is. Like, dude, that name, that guy was a jerk to me in high school. That's not going to be my son's. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's a balance. Yeah. So people heard Baker, they really liked it, and here they are. So we digress completely on that, but go legend, PJ Walker, and there'll be a bunch of little PJs running around here 9 months from now. We'll see on that. We continue on. Now we break down the groups for the Browns.
That's a lot of red there, Matt. That's a lot of red.
Sorry, it's over here. 49ers. 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 There's nothing there to be had. Kyle Shanahan. All right, let's talk about these each individually. Kevin Stefanski is a good coach. And they don't do coach power rankings. Kevin Stefanski is a top half coach. 16, 14, somewhere around there. There's a lot of coaches that I could crap on that I'm not a big fan of. Kevin Stefanski is a good coach, and I will continue to say that. It doesn't mean that he gets to keep his job. It doesn't mean that bad things won't happen. But Kevin Stefanski is a good coach, and I will continue to say that. Kyle Shanahan's the best coach in football right now. Mike McDaniel's very good. Nick Sirianni is very good. Dan Campbell is very good. Andy Reid is probably number 2. Give credit to Pete Carroll for that job that he's doing up there in Seattle. It is no longer Bill Belichick. And that goes back to if you don't have the horses, if you don't have the players, sure. I'm a big Sean McDermott fan. I'll always be a Mike Tomlin fan. Harbaugh, all that. They all are looking up at Kyle Shanahan right now.
I agree.
There is no question in my mind that Kyle Shanahan is the best coach in football. So therefore, this was always going to lean 49ers. To the wide receiving group, this is, again, so hard and so relative because of the quarterback situation. But when you truly look at it with the 49ers, their two best wide receivers are Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. And Brandon Ayuk has, really come on for that team. I mean, he has really shown up. So if you want to compare Deebo to Amari, I actually think that's a closer, it's good. It's Deebo. I'm not saying it's not Deebo, but there's a world, Ryan, you could say that a true wide receiver is more Amari Cooper.
See, that's the battle there, because we see Deebo in these gadget roles and these carries.
Swiss Army knife.
He is. However, obviously, I think the 49ers have a better wide receiver room, but I would argue that Amari Cooper in that game is the best receiver on the field.
So then number 2 is Brandon Ayuk versus Donovan Peoples-Jones. It's very clearly Brandon Ayuk. Then if you want to talk Elijah Moore in that unfair comparison to Deebo Samuel versus Ronnie Bell, who has really shown up for them when they drafted him, I was like, damn
it's
it,
really
that really kind of fits there. They still have Ray McLeod, but he's mostly their return guy. Juwan Jennings is always coming out. Here's the thing. The 49ers are a little of what Tom Brady used to do with the Patriots. You take these guys and you turn them into something, and that's why it's so good. Kittle versus Njoku. Again, should be semi-close. It's Kittle. He's a top 3 tight end. Kelsey.
I'd argue that Kittle's the overall best tight end in football in terms of blocking.
He blocks really good, yeah.
Obviously, Travis is maybe a bit more talented on the offensive side of the ball, but he does have Patrick Mahomes.
Who do you think the third best tight end in the NFL is right now?
Statistically, or
just in your opinion?
I mean, Mark Andrews, but that's... I mean, there's just tight ends weird because there's a lot of different things that they can each do well. Sam Laporta's balling out. But
I was going to bring him up. So this is week 6 tight end rankings from ESPN.
Yeah.
Kelsey clearly number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, TJ Hawkinson is on a tear because there's now that Justin Jefferson's out, his stock's only going to go through the roof. Andrews, Darren Waller, Sam Laporta.
Get Darren Waller off that list. Ew.
I think it's just more the Giants suck. Cole Kmet, I was kind of high on Cole Kmet because I go, Fields might actually work with him. Ingram, Dallas Goedert, Kittle, Ertz, they're all up there. Pitts, finally, they figured him out, and Njoku. So I think, and that's just fantasy football rankings, but I want to run. I think the top 3 are pretty clear. Yeah. I think it's Kittle, I think it's Kelsey, I think it's Hawkinson. Probably Kelsey, Kittle, Hawkinson in that order. And then, again, Andrews will take Darren Waller off that list, but Njoku's somewhere up there. To the offensive line we go. This, again, used to be something that you would look at and you would say the Browns pretty much have a domination over most teams. With the injuries that I think the Browns are facing, number 1, certainly with the Bitonio injury, which scares me, but it is the San Francisco 49ers. Here's the reason why. There are people out there that believe that Trent Williams is still the best offensive lineman in football. Not even to the guard of Quentin Nelson and all that kind of stuff. In football, he is the best. He is the number 1 rated tackle on PFF with a 90.
Wow.
Now, the rest of that line, Aaron Banks, Brendel's their center, Buford, and McKivitz. PFF, those guys aren't grading out great. 59s, 49s. So there's room to be had. But we gave the edge. I think if you were to line up the best offensive line, Trent Williams is 1. And then, honestly, I think it goes Bitonio and then Wyatt Teller.
Yeah.
But then I think the rest kind of slide out that it's the 49ers. It's certainly not Jed Wills. I like DeJuan Jones, but I would still take McKivitz over him. And then Posick, Brendel, take either one. So we gave the edge. But honestly, Ryan, of a lot of these things, it's probably... second closest, because the closest is going to be the final one. That is the defense. Yep. You have 2 of the top 3 defenses in the NFL playing on Sunday. And obviously the edge will be that the 49ers are facing a backup quarterback with no run game for the Browns. And the Browns defense, I mean, the issue there is to really wreck this game. We asked Noah, what would be the path to victory for the Browns as we know? Their defense wrecks the game. Do you know how we would wreck the game there, Ryan? That would be getting turnovers. What do the 49ers not do? Turn the football over. I'm talking defensive touchdowns. I'm talking about strip sacks, all that kind of stuff. They don't do that. And then, by the way, as far as sacks allowed of starting quarterbacks, Brock Purdy has only been sacked 8 times. Deshaun Watson has played in 3 games, Ryan. He's been sacked 12 times.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy, I can do this math, has a third of the sacks, or excuse me, 3/4 of the sacks. I can do the math. Maybe I can't. Has 3/4 the amount of sacks of Deshaun Watson, and he's played in 1 less game. So they don't, like, of all the areas that you want to look at to try to say the Browns defense could make a stop here or get something, they don't turn it over and they don't let Brock Purdy get sacked. Mostly because he gets the football out. He is quick with getting that football out. It'll be a tough test for the Browns defense, but you got to give it to the 49ers. I think it's close. I could see people, if we were really pulling teeth here, and to be honest, the reason that we skewed to the 49ers is because of the offenses.
Yep.
It's because of the offense. So that's where we're at.
Well, Matt, the Browns do have a little something that maybe the 49ers don't.
What?
Any guesses?
Polish boys?
No, close. You ready?
What? Yeah.
Look at that.
A guy from Cleveland is dating Taylor Swift. Win for the Browns.
We got to give him something.
All those stars. Well, I guess you could come back. Who's Christian McCaffrey? Isn't he dating somebody famous? Is he dating Olivia Culpo?
I don't know. I'm sure
she just goes from NFL player to NFL player, doesn't she? I think they're engaged. Good for Christian McCaffrey. I hope they have a great, wonderful life together. She ain't Taylor Swift, man. Take that. Take that.
Biggest
Win
star
for
in the
Cleveland.
world.
Win for Cleveland. Is he dating Olivia Culpo still? Or are they still engaged? Yep. Engaged. Good for them. Congratulations. The only reason I said she used to date like Danny Amendola.
That's a name.
Yeah, remember that? So good for them. Good for Christian McCaffrey. I think Kittle's married. Don't worry about that. Brock Purdy, I'm assuming, is a probably pretty eligible bachelor if he's not taken there. Brock Purdy girlfriend. Oh, he's engaged. Congratulations to Brock Purdy and his lovely fiance. Good for them. Fantastic. Great. Is Debo married?
Dude, what are we doing?
I'm just running through. Because if we're gonna go that, we're going that a Cleveland person is dating Taylor Swift. I just want to make sure that we're not missing anything on if there's any famous spouses or significant others. Hang on, I get it. It never in my world that I thought I'd be sitting here Googling Debo Samuel girlfriend, Brock Purdy girlfriend, but here we are on a Friday. Girlfriend, wife. Debo's, again, very pretty girlfriend, but none of them are Taylor Swift.
None of them are Taylor Swift.
Cleveland. All right, good job on that. Well, speaking of the wins, Ryan, Tyler, let's get right to it. Tipico, our bets for the weekend. As we always do, we will run through the full NFL slate of games, and we will give you our picks with our friends at Tipico. Doesn't really do much for you, but Ryan and I both starting 1-0 last night with Thursday Night Football. A skin-of-the-teeth cover there for Kansas City, but they got it done. Spread was 10.5. They win by 11, so that is a 1-0 start for both Ryan and myself. The problem is I need it bad. I went 6-7 last week. It's my first losing week of the season. I took some crazy ones there, but I'm still up on the year, 28-24 overall. Young Ryan with an impressive 9-4 week, improving him to 33-19 on the year. Look at him cracking his neck over there. He's ready to go here with his picks. Let's get it rocking. Let's get it rolling. And we start with London yet again. The Baltimore Ravens and the Tennessee Titans crossing the pond. Do they have crab cakes in England?
Not. I've never had. Have you had a crab cake?
Oh,
before?
yeah. Crab cakes are delicious.
Would you believe me if I told you I never ate crab before?
Are you a seafood fan?
Well, kind of.
Okay. What do you mean kind of? I think you either are or you are.
Well, no. See. I like shrimp. I like calamari. I like certain fish.
I love seafood. I love seafood. As much as I hate the Ravens, Baltimore is a really cool city. I'll shout out my brother-in-law. It's his birthday today. I love you, bro. And we went to Baltimore for his bachelor party. It was so much fun because he went to school there, so all his friends. And that's the first time I ever went. Inner Harbor, dude. It's a great town. It's a great city. And crab cakes are amazing. They are awesome. But nonetheless, the Baltimore Ravens at 3-2, traveling to take on the Tennessee Titans. Of course, Baltimore with that shocking loss to Tennessee, or to my hand a little bit there, with their shocking loss last week to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was one, Ryan. Again, I sit here and I just go, a letdown game to a point, maybe. Do they have something going across the pond? And then for Tennessee, they lose a shocking one to the Colts. So Tennessee's in a real meat grinder right now. They're 2-3. Are they going to be able to keep this thing afloat? It is a 4.5 point spread over in London at Tottenham Stadium. Let's get you some trends. I will start with Baltimore. They've been pretty hot lately. They are 5-2 against the spread their last 7 games. They are also 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games on the road. This is technically a road game for them. Well, that is my point. It's a home game for Tennessee because they gave it up. It's truly a road game for both teams. So Baltimore is 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games on the road. This, again, applies to Nashville, but still applies here. Baltimore is an impressive 7-3 straight up their last 10 games on the road against the Titans. Pretty good right there. And Baltimore has owned the AFC South. They are 10-4 straight up their last 14 games against an AFC South opponent. You flip it over for Tennessee, as bad as it's gone, they're also covering. They are 4-2 against the spread their last 6 games. The problem is they're only 2-10 straight up in their last 12. And again, I mentioned this home away streak, knowing that it's kind of on the road. They obviously haven't covered at home against Baltimore. The under seems to be the play here, though. 8 of Tennessee's last 9 games, the under has hit. This game comes in with an over-under of... Shoot, I had it. Give me 2 seconds here. I'll pull it back up for you. 42, which is pretty low. I've got a rule of thumb when it comes to Thursday Night Football that I didn't listen to last night and London games. You take the under, you take the dog. I'm going to take Tennessee, and I'm going to take them plus that 4.5. Right.
I'm not going to read too much into this. I think it should be a typical bounce back game. I think obviously the Ravens are the better team, and if they don't come out with a fire under their ass after that loss to Pittsburgh, I'd be surprised. So
they might have some problems there if they can't really turn that around.
I'll roll with the Ravens to cover that one.
All right, 1 o'clock kick in Atlanta as the Falcons welcoming in the 2-3 Commanders. Of course, Atlanta at 3-2 on their own. Washington, 2-3. I think the wheels have really fallen off for the Commanders. This is some places a pick'em. I had it this morning at 2.5 for the Falcons. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. It opened at a pick'em. It is now 2.5 as the money is really flying in on the Falcons. We'll talk to Sonny Gupta of Tipico coming up and get his thoughts on this game with some of the money coming in. We'll start with Washington here. They're only 3-7 against the spread their last 10 games. They're only 3-6 straight up in their last 9 games. And against Atlanta, though, they're pretty good. Washington covers. They're 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games against the Falcons, but they're only 2-6 straight up. So the problem is that they're getting in the back door there and covering. Washington is 2-6 straight up on the road. You flip it over for the Falcons. They're only 1-4 against the spread their last 5 games, but they are 5-2 straight up in their last 7, and they are 5-0 their last 5 games at home straight up. The over has gone 5 out of the last 6 games, Washington, Atlanta, when it's played in Atlanta, if you're playing the over-under there. I will take the Falcons in this one. I will take them minus the 2.5.
Yeah, this one's kind of a gross game. I'm just going to roll with the home team, the favorite. They should win by a field goal.
What are the Minnesota Vikings going to do without Justin Jefferson? They place arguably the best skill player in the NFL on IR. He's out 4 weeks. They're 1-4. They're taking on the Chicago Bears. It's at Soldier Field. Bears coming off their big Thursday night win, 1-4. The extra time, does that help? We will see. This line opened at 4.5. It is now down to 3 on the side of the Minnesota Vikings. So they are a road favorite. Bears a home dog. I think probably as they should be. Jump into the trends on this one. Minnesota. We know how bad they are. They're even worse than covering. They're only 2-8-1 against the spread their last 11 games, 1-5 straight up in their last 6. But they cover and they beat up on the Bears. Minnesota is 5-2 against the spread their last 7 games against Chicago, and they are 5-1 straight up in their last 6 games against the Bears. You flip it over for Chicago, they're only 2-10-1 against the spread their last 13 games. They're only 1-14 in their last 15, and Bears are on a 9-game home losing streak. The under has hit 9 out of the last 8 times that Chicago and Minnesota meet. I'll let you go on this one first, Ryan. Vikings -3.
That's actually that caught my ears, that stat you just said, because I'm pretty sure this year in the Bears, the games are like 5-0 on the over this year.
The over, yeah, their last 5 home games, it's the over.
But you're saying against the Vikings.
So when they play the Vikings, the last 9. So again, You're 1,000% correct. The over has hit in all 5 of Chicago's games this year. But when they play the Bears, when the Bears play Minnesota, the under is 8-1 in their last 9. again, those numbers, people kind of yell at me because those are historical. That goes back 5 years because they play twice a year. But still, there's something to be said about that of a defensive struggle. Then when you factor in that there is no Justin Jefferson, the change there for Minnesota, the over-under on this game is set at 48.5. I'm sorry, it's down to 44. 44. I still kind of like the under on that. That might be my best bet, but we'll do the spread here. 3 for the Vikings. What do you think?
Oh, man, this is another gross game I will not be touching in real life. However, for the sake of it, I'm going to roll with the Bears in this one. I think they'll cover that 3. Home team got their first win in seems like forever. I don't know. I don't want to bet with Kirk Cousins without Justin Jefferson, so I'll just roll with the Bears.
Yeah, I'm going to look this up for you because I should actually probably do this more on public money. 54% of the public money is on Minnesota. 46% is on Chicago. You're taking Chicago?
Yep.
I'll ride with you on that. I'll ride with Chicago. Saints traveling to take on the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud has just been... He's been really good, but Ryan, now it's starting to come out just really how impressive. There was that clip this week of him breaking down something that he saw. Like, people are really starting to buy in a little bit there to the Houston Texans. They are 2-3. They welcome in the New Orleans Saints. I think the Saints are coming and starting to feel like, hey, we can still win this division here. They have some things rolling. Kamara is back. Carr is there getting done. This open is a borderline pick'em. It is now the Saints minus 1.5 points and an over-under of 42.5. Let's get to some trends on this one. I will start with the New Orleans Saints. They are only 1-4-1 against the spread their last 6 games, but they are 6-3 straight up in their last 9. The New Orleans Saints come into this game. The under is really the play, though. The under is hit in New Orleans' last 10 games and their last 8 games on the road. You flip it over for Houston, coming in a hot 7-3 against the spread their last 10 games, but they're only 4-13 straight up in their last 17, and Houston is only 1-8 straight up at home in their last 9 games. To the public money on this one, we have 60-40. 60% of the public money is on Houston plus that 1.5. I can't do it. I'm going to do New Orleans here. I think it's a little bit of a I think, again, Houston's playing well. I want to give them credit for that. I think New Orleans a little bit more of a motivated team there. I'll take the road favorite here, Saints minus 1.5.
Yeah, my gut is telling me to go with the Saints. However, I'm just going to ride or die with CJ Stroud. He's impressed me so much this year. Top 5 in yards in the league his rookie year already. He's been balling out. I think they're going to be without Tank Dell, which sucks, but Nico Collins has been balling out. I'm just going to roll with the home dog here, and I'm going to go with the Texans.
This is a sneaky good game, maybe. Potential impactor here is Seattle. Travels down to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Bengals beat up on the lowly Cards. They're 2-3. Seattle coming off their bye, an impressive 3-1. So remember that. They had some time to rest. The trip might not be as bad, but there's something to be said about coming off the bye as well. This line is held steady. It is Cincinnati minus 2.5, or I have it at minus 3 with our friends at Tipico, the over-under set at 45. There are still people, Ryan, that believe that Cincinnati will come back and win this division, that they just need to turn it around and get Joe Burrow healthy. I don't know if I quite buy into that. And Seattle, a team, they're scrappy. I will start with the Seahawks. They're only 4-9 against the spread their last 13 games, but they are 5-2 straight up in their last 7. They are also 6-2 against the spread their last 8 games against an AFC North opponent. You flip it over for Cincinnati. They're only 2-6-1 against the spread their last 9 games. But how about this? Cincinnati is an impressive 8-1 straight up in their last 9 home games. Against the NFC West, or actually specifically against the NFC, Cincinnati 6-0 in their last 6 games against an NFC opponent. Cincinnati minus 3 at home. Jamar Chase, 3 touchdowns. They're starting to feel it. I'm taking Cincy. I'm going to take a minus the 3.
Right? All right. I'm going to roll with Seattle, actually, on this one. I'm going to take them to cover, and I think they're going to win straight up. I think what Pete Carroll has done these last 2 years can't be spoken about enough. He's done an insane job. And the Bengals, people who are saying they're back, I'm not going to say they don't have a chance, but let's pump. Did I say?
No, you said Cincinnati. But I meant Texas. Both of them.
Like pump. All right, since he pumped the brakes, he played the Cardinals.
Fair enough.
I'm going to roll with Seattle in this one straight up.
64% of public money is there on Cincinnati, so people riding with me with the Bengals. The largest spread of the weekend, of course, probably will mostly go to Miami when they play teams like the Carolina Panthers. Here it is. It is a 13.5-point spread. It started at 10. Money rolling in on the Dolphins. It has pushed it up to 13. It is at Hard Rock Stadium. Dolphins 4-1. Panthers still searching for their first win. They ain't going to get it. The question is, will they cover? I start with the Panthers. They are 0-4-1 against the spread in their 5 games this season. Obviously, they're still looking for their first win. Historically, against Miami, Carolina's got nothing for them. Carolina's 1-6 against the spread their last 7 games against the Dolphins, and 2-5 straight up in their last 7 against Miami. Carolina putrid on the road going back to last year, 2-13 in their last 15 road games, 1-7 straight up their last 8 games against a team from the AFC. You flip it over for Miami, 7-1 against the spread their last 8 games. We know 4-1 in their 5 games to start, an impressive 14-2 straight up in their last 16 games at home for the Miami Dolphins. This is 13.5. This is a scary number, I think, for some people, Ryan. Here's the crazy thing. 92% of public money is on the Dolphins. That line might get to 15 by Sunday. That is amazing in an NFL world. Dare I say 17. Miami minus the 13.5. I mean, here's the thing. With that big of public money, you would like to believe that Vegas knows something, right? Devon Achane is not going to play in this game. He's on IR. They're going to bring back Jeff Wilson. You still have Tyreek Hill. You still have Tua. Does Carolina have something scrappy for them? I don't know. I can't. You know what? I can't do it. I got to take Miami. I just have to.
Yeah, super fat spread, but I don't know how I could ever bet on the Panthers, so I'm going to go with the Dolphins too. By the way, Matt, very nice pronunciation on Achane, by the way.
Thank you very much. I'm getting used to it. This is one of my locks of the weekend. I need a graphic. You need to give me something. Is there a lock here? Where's the chain? Where's the chain? I need a lock. Lock of the weekend.
No, okay.
The lock of the weekend.
You have to put on that big play hat and say it.
I don't want to ruin my hair. I just got a haircut. Shout out to Sean and Jason, Irish Barber, looking good. Lock of the weekend. There ain't no way Jacksonville is losing, and they will win by 5 against the Indianapolis Colts. Jags coming in 3-2. They sweep their 2 games out there in London. Colts coming in with an impressive 3-2 record on their own, but they will not have Anthony Richardson. This game started at 6.5. It's down to 4 because 74% of the public money is on the Indianapolis Colts. That ain't happening. No way. Big play, big bets. Colts all the live long day. I'll give you the trends here in a second, but I just had to get out.
You mean Jags?
Oh, what did I? Oh my God! No! Jags! You don't get the ticket back at the book, Ryan. If I walked up and did that at the book, you don't get to take it back. I'll start with Indianapolis. They're only 4-12 straight up their last 16. They're only 1-7 against the spread their last 8 games against Jacksonville, and they are 0-7 in their last 7 trips against the spread to Jacksonville. So again, the last 7 games in Jacksonville the Colts have played, they've not covered a single one. You flip it over for Jacksonville, pretty impressive. 9-3 against the spread their last 12 games, 9-3 straight up in their last 12, and they are 6-2 straight up in their last 8 games. I talked about the spread down there in Jacksonville. They just cover. Jags all the live long day. I might alternate spread that, Ryan, back up to that original 6.5. I'll take that all day. Jags, money, book it.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Jags too. They're coming off nice wins versus Atlanta and Buffalo and London. It's interesting because if you remember Week 1, the Colts and Jags played in Indianapolis, and the Colts didn't play bad. In fact, they were winning like midway through the third quarter, and then Jacksonville had a really nice end to come back and win. Yeah, it's tough. I honestly hate betting against Gardner Minshew. He's like
he does cover
the king of backups, but. Yeah, Jacksonville's a better team. They're a little hot. Travis Etienne's playing really, really well. Trevor Lawrence had a really nice game against the Bills, so I'll roll with you on this one, Matt.
Speaking of Bill Belichick, what a a reunion, if you will. Josh McDaniels, James Garoppolo, Bill Belichick.
Gross game.
Don't you think Bill wishes he still had Jimmy Garoppolo? Here we are. Patriots floundering 1-4. Why they are starting Mac Jones, I have no idea. They travel out to Allegiant Stadium in Vegas to take on the 2-3 Las Vegas Raiders. This line opened at 1.5. It is now to just 2.5 for the Raiders. I've got it at 3 at some places as well. Over-under set at 41. Take the under. Like that a lot. Slam that because the Raiders defense showed up last week to help them get that win. Our start with New England. They are only 1-8 against the spread their last 9 games, 1-5 straight up in their last 6. But somehow, and this again goes back to, I think, Tom Brady era, New England is 5-2 against the spread their last 7 games against the Raiders, and they are 6-1 straight up in their last 7. New England, though, they're only 2-4 straight up in their last 6 games on the road. New England, though, has covered 4 of their last 6 games on the road against the Raiders. So the trends tell you New England, but you got to look at how they're playing right now. I'll tip my pick. I'm taking the Raiders all day minus that 3. For Vegas, they're not great themselves. They're only 2-4 against the spread their last 6, 2-6 straight up in their last 8. But the Raiders cover at home. They are 8-4 against the spread their last 12 games when played at Allegiant Stadium. Raiders minus 3. That's another borderline lock for me this weekend. Ryan.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Vegas to cover that little spread there. And it feels super, super strange to pick Josh McDaniels over Bill Belichick. However, that is the world we're in right now in the NFL. So I'll go with the home team. It's in Vegas. Let's roll with the Raiders.
AFC West battle here is the Cardinals will travel up the coast to take on the L.A. Rams. This game in L.A. Of course, the Rams 2-3. They get Cooper Kupp back. Cardinals floundering at 1-4. This game is now a 7-point spread on the favor of the home Rams teams. It started at 4.5, and it has been bought up. It's actually 50-50. Rams Cardinals is 50-50. Oh, by the way, I didn't give you the public money for the Patriots. 80-20 on the New England Patriots.
I like that.
I love that for us, too. What? Mac Jones? Get the hell out of here with that. No way. 50-50 here split on the Cards and the Rams. It is 7. I will take the Rams in this one. I'll get you some trends here in a second, but I just feel like the Rams are trying to, they figure out, the Cardinals are tanking. We know they are. They got that magical win against Dallas. I don't think there's anything else they're going to be able to do. Arizona 1-11 straight up in their last 12. They are only 2-10-1 against the spread their last 13 games against the Rams. Arizona is 2-11 straight up in their last 13 against the Rams, and they are 0-5 on the road. Not just this season going back, but the Cardinals are just bad. Rams are 4-1-1 against the spread their last 6 games, but they're only 4-12 straight up in their last 16. Here's a positive one, though. The Rams are 4-1 against the spread their last 5 at homes. Rams all day. Ryan.
Yeah, I'm going to keep rolling with you, Matt. I'm going to take the Rams. And I think the Rams are probably one of, if not the best 2-3 team in football right now. I mean, you go back and look at their last 4 out of their 5 games. Seattle, San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Cincy. Yes, Cincy at that point wasn't playing great, but they're kind of back on track. Those are 4 really, really honestly good teams. I like the Rams in this one.
I think Big Cat does it at Barstool where he says frisky. They're kind of frisky. Like, they could be good. They got Cooper Kupp back. They have Puka. I think they could figure something out. They'll certainly be able to handle the Cards, though. And I think better by 7. Eagles taking on the Jets. New York got that really just emotional win for Nathaniel Hackett beating the Broncos. This is at MetLife Stadium, a very short trip for the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. This line's held pretty standard. It was 6.5. It's down to 7 now for the Eagles on the road. It's a big 7-point spread as a road favorite. 71% of public money is on the Eagles to get that cover against the Jets. I will start with Philly here. 6-0 against the spread their last 6 games against the Jets. How about this? The Eagles are on a 10-game win streak against the New York Jets. Philly 10-1 straight up their last 11 games on the road. 6-0 straight up their last 6 games when they played the Jets at MetLife Stadium. For the Jets, nothing is good. 3-6 against the spread their last 9 games. 2-9 straight up in their last 11. And again, they don't cover. They don't beat the Eagles. I don't like the 7, and I don't like the road because I have a lot of favorites so far on this. But I think I got to go Philly. I'll go Philly.
Yeah, I'm going to go Philly as well. I wouldn't be surprised if in Philly they're hearing the noise about the 49ers. I think they'd like to be the last team undefeated. So we were yet to see them put together a real complete game besides that game against the Buccaneers. I'm going to roll with Philly in this one touchdown.
Speaking of the Bucks, battling number 1 overall picks, Jared Goff, 4-1 Lions, traveling down to Raymond James Stadium to take on the 3-1 Baker Mayfield-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucks coming off their bye. This line's also held 2.5 to open. It is now 3, a road favorite here for the Detroit Lions. Public money on this game, I have Detroit. I just had it, and then I scrolled off of it. I apologize. 71% of the public money is on Dan Campbell and the Lions. I'll start with Detroit. 13-2 against the spread their last 15 games. A cover machine there for Detroit. 6-1 straight up in their last 7. How about this? Detroit 6-0 against the spread their last 6 games when on the road against Tampa, and they are 10-4 against the spread their last 14 games overall against the Bucs. So they cover against the Bucs and they cover when they're down there in Tampa. Flip it over for Tampa Bay. They're only 3-9-1 against the spread their last 13 games at home. They're only 5-14-1 against the spread their last 20 games overall. I have taken too many favorites here, Ryan. I got to take Tampa Bay. I'm taking plus the 3. That's a crazy one to say. I think Tampa might get close in this game. Coming off the bye, give me Tampa plus the 3.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a sneaky good game, especially in Tampa. However, I am going to roll with the Lions in this one.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I think that could be a really good game.
When you see a 13.5 and you think that's the biggest spread of the weekend, you usually would say yes. That is not the case, though. As Sunday Night Football, the lowly Giants head over to Orchard Park to take on the Buffalo Bills. 14.5 point spread. It's gone up 4 for the Bills. They're 3-2. They're taking on Daniel Jones is out, right? He ain't playing in this game, right? He's out. Saquon Barkley questionable. Giants are 1-4. The scuttlebutt of Brian Dable maybe not being the guy. We know Danny Dimes isn't the guy, but is Brian Dable the guy? We'll see. A lot is going on there. Giants 0-6 against the spread this season. They can't cover it all. They're 1-5 straight up in their last 6. In Buffalo, though, or against Buffalo, I should say, Giants cover. Historically, last 9 games for the Giants, they are 6-2-1 against the spread. Their last 9 against Buffalo and 4-2 straight up in their last 6 against Buffalo. Giants are only 1-4 against the spread their last 5 games on the road, but their last 5 games in Orchard Park, Giants are 4-1 against the spread. Buffalo 11-3 straight up in their last 14, 14-3 straight up in their last 17. This is a big one though, and Giants cover. I don't like it. I hate it, actually, but I'll take the Giants.
I'm just going to have to roll with the Bills.
That's fine. I hate that. Final one, Monday Night Football. You want to do Monday on Monday?
Let's do Monday
on Monday. Sonny's ready to go, so let's bring him in right now. Sonny Gupta, of course, Tipico Sportsbook Manager, joins us every Friday. Use that code BIGPLAY150. Let's get a little more insight. Sonny, you obviously heard a lot of our picks right there, and I'm sure you were rolling your eyes going, Fontana's an idiot, but it wouldn't be the first time here. Let's start with the Browns. We know this line has massively shifted with all the news with the Browns. Tell me your insight. What do you think? It'd be easy to sit here and say we're just going to slam the 49ers at now is what, 9.5. Sonny, I'd imagine this game's going to get to double digits by the time we get to Sunday, right?
I would not be shocked. Right now, we have 95% of the money on the Niners to cover minus 9.5. I wouldn't be surprised if it moves a point, even 2 before Sunday. The public is heavy on the Niners to cover, and I don't see why not right now. The Niners are as hot as you can be right now, and the Browns offense already was struggling. So with Watson out, yeah, this spread looks to move for sure.
And Sonny, from the back end, obviously you're the sportsbook manager, and say what you can, but when you make moves on the lines, we know the public money impacts it, but obviously so do player movement. And there's always been analysis of how much Patrick Mahomes means to a line, right? Patrick Mahomes is worth probably, 5 or 6 points on a line. Deshaun Watson probably worth 2 or 3 because they're the quarterback. But just from even a betting standpoint for the people out there, we know it's important on when you place your bet because there were people that got San Fran at -3 early in the week. Now they look like geniuses. But that line, a lot obviously can fluctuate, but it's really the quarterback that drives that, right?
Yeah, 100%. And then also, now that we've seen the backup and what he can or cannot do, that also impacts it as well. I think if we hadn't seen DTR get any snaps in the way he looked in preseason, maybe the line wouldn't have moved as much as it did. But yeah, no, quarterback play for sure. And then public money coming in. So everybody that got the 49ers early, they got a bunch of closing line value right now.
Talk about some of the other NFL games. So Sonny Gupta, sportsbook manager there for Tipico. We start with London. Ravens are a 4.5-point favorite against the Titans. Anything that you see, Sonny, when it comes to London? I on Thursday Night Football, I always like the under and the dog. I kind of apply that to London games. I took Tennessee plus that 4.5. Anything you see specific with this game, Tennessee, Baltimore, or anything that you really like when it comes to London?
So the under is quite popular in London, but the number is so low to me, 41.5.
Yeah.
I think the Ravens still have a lot to prove here. I don't think Lamar has looked anywhere near, what we expect from MVP type Lamar. The Titans, they looked great, especially against the Bengals, right? But I fully expect points to be put up. So I love the over here at 41.5. So does the public. We have 60% of the money on the over. In this game, I'm staying away from the spread. It seems like the hot seat is in for Vrabel. So I don't know. I feel like I'd stay away from the spread and go with the over here.
Of two of the big ones, Miami minus 13.5 against the Panthers, or the Bills minus 14.5 against the Giants. If you had to pick one of those games for the dog to cover, which one would you pick?
For the dog to cover?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were going to say the other way around.
Or you could do it the other way. Yeah. Which one do you think would cover? What is the lock to cover, I guess?
Yeah. So 14.5 is an incredible amount of points to lay, but the Bills love beating up on teams. So with the injury problems, with it being a primetime game, with the way the Bills have looked already, I love the Bills to cover the 14.5. And that's the most points I will ever lay on an NFL game. It will be this weekend. And I'm happy to do it. And so is the public. Right now, we actually have 98% of the money on the Bills. So
wow,
everybody's loving the Bills. No one trusts the Giants, and I think for good reason.
That line might have to move then there, Si. And again, 13 or 14.5 is a lot. I can't tell you last time I've seen a 17.5 point spread starting a game in the NFL. I bet it's probably too much for it to move that much between now and then, but that is an absolutely staggering number. Sonny Gupta joining us from Tipico. Use that code BIGPLAY150 when you sign up, get those bonus bets. Any other games, Sonny, that you really like in the NFL slate before we turn our attention to college? We really like, the Seattle-Cincy matchup is at 3, which is really interesting. I felt really good about the Raiders covering against the Patriots. I feel like the Patriots are just floundering. There is something to be said about Belichick facing a former coach and all that kind of stuff. Any game out there on that NFL slate that you're really circling?
So on that Raiders game, I don't know how to treat the McDaniels-Belichick matchup. That's the biggest stay away for me out of all the games in this slate. No result would shock me here, so I'm staying away from that one. You mentioned the Bengals game. That 3 is a very interesting number. This feels like a Bengals must-win, a statement game here for their season. Against a pretty solid Seahawks team. So I think that they reactivated Chase. I think Jamar Chase is looking pretty solid now. I look for them to have a big offensive game here. So yeah, right now we have about 50% on either side of this spread at -3, but I like the Bengals to cover.
Let's turn our attention to the college ranks. And obviously for us here in Cleveland, I'm worried about Ohio State. Sonny, we got to find this game on Peacock. You got to register. It's on Peacock for noon. I don't know why. But it is Purdue, and it's a place that seems like Ohio State always struggles playing at Ross-Ade Stadium out there for Purdue. 19 is what I've seen. 19.5 is what's at Tipico. I know it came down just a little bit. When you read into Ohio State, Purdue, what do you like? I would lean Ohio State, but the stat that really kind of shocked me on this one was Ohio State is only 4-8 against the spread, their last 12 against the Boilermakers. And is this an Ohio State team that I really trust to cover that? I honestly... And shout out to you guys at Tipico in the sportsbook. I hate that line. Because if it was any higher, I'm taking Purdue. And if it was any lower, I'm slamming the Buckeyes. I think 19.5 is perfect. What do you read into Ohio State, Purdue?
Yeah, I think the way Ohio State looked in the first half last week against Maryland, I think they avoid any sort of trap game here because they need to have a statement win. I don't think the public is in on this Ohio State team at all yet. Right now, Ohio State... it's tough to say, hey, they're looking like a title favorite the way they've looked this season thus far. So even though Purdue has played them well in the past, I love Ohio State to try to have a statement game here and really beat up on Purdue. So yeah, the spread has held pretty consistent at 19.5. The total has moved up about 2 points. The public is on Ohio State, as you would expect, and I'm on Ohio State as well because I think they really need to have a statement win here for their season.
Best game of the weekend, hands down, undefeated, 7-8, Oregon, Washington. It's 3:30. I don't know, maybe like a light night game there. Washington at home, 3-point favorite. Sonny, what do you like there? I actually am leaning Oregon in that one. Penix, Bo Nix, like a matchup you ask everything that you want to see. But I kind of like Oregon plus the points there. What do you think?
I think both quarterbacks light it up in that game. They're both 23 years old, so they've had enough experience. The big stage should not scare them. Right now, the public, surprisingly, 80% of the money is on Oregon to cover plus 3.
Yeah, they're with me.
Which surprised me. I thought it'd be 50-50. Right now, I think Penix and Bo Nix, they're two of the top 3 Heisman hopefuls. I like Bo Nix to take care of business on the road here, and Oregon, just the way they've looked so far. I think both teams look strong, but I think Bo Nix, I think he has a better game than Penix here. I also I'd keep an eye on the Heisman odds here. I think whoever wins this game, I think they take the Heisman. I think Caleb Williams loses this weekend. So
I was going to ask you about Ohio or USC Notre Dame. All right, so a little preview on that one too. All right,
I think that's dropping that in. But yeah, those are the top 3 candidates right now. You got Penix at plus 205, Bo Nix at plus 600. Whoever wins this game, I'm jumping on them to win the Heisman this year.
So then you like Notre Dame minus that 3, 7:30 there in South Bend?
I don't know how you can feel confident about USC after that triple overtime game last week. So I don't trust them on the road. I don't trust them against a Notre Dame team, which they need this to save their season. If they lose here, they're out of the playoff race. I love Notre Dame to cover I have it at minus 2.5 right now, minus 3. Either way, I'm taking it alt spread. I'm probably betting some on that as well.
Nice.
I love Notre Dame take care of business here.
I love it. Sonny Gupta joining us every Friday from Tipico. Use that code BIGPLAY150 when you get signed up. Get those bet credits in. Get the bonus bets. Place and wager alongside. Sonny, appreciate it. Have a great weekend, man, and we will talk to you next Friday.
Thanks, Matt. You too. Have a good one.
There you go. Sonny Gupta from Tipico. So another thing I was going to bring up on Oregon. How about this? Oregon is 14-3-1 against the spread their last 18 games against Washington.
Wow.
I really like that. I'm going to ride with what Sonny said, too. I'm going to fade USC here. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I don't know. What is the line for that?
3. Notre Dame favored by 3.
So,
is that
okay,
a 7:30?
That game to me is super, super interesting, right? You're in South Bend, and Notre Dame, I don't know what the last time I've seen such a brutal 3-4 game stretch for a team than it has been Notre Dame. So I kind of like them to bounce back in this. And like you said, USC did not look great one bit against Arizona.
USC 2-6 against the spread their last 8, but they are 4-2 against the spread their last 6 games against Notre Dame, but they're only 1-4 straight up. So a lot of dogs there for USC against Notre Dame. USC has not won in the last 5 trips to South Bend. 0-5 in their last 5 games at Notre Dame. Notre Dame don't really have much, to be honest with you. 7-2 straight up their last 9 against a Pac-12 opponent. Notre Dame's 11-3 straight up in the last 14. All right, so I like Notre Dame. Dude, I love Oregon. I really like Oregon this weekend, too. Ohio State, kind of maybe stay away from that one.
Yeah, I was
kind of a dicey number at 19.5.
And I love what Sonny said about the Heisman race because I was going to ask him actually.
Oh yeah,
until he jumped in about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, on Tipico right now, the favorite is Michael Penix. I think he's plus 205. Obviously, second is Caleb Williams, and then third is Bo Nix at plus 600. And to me, that's really, really interesting because even if like Penix and Bo Nix have a similar stat line, he made it clear that the winner of that game likely is going to jump to the Heisman favorite.
And here's the other thing, too, why I'm fading Caleb Williams. He's not done what he needed to do. To be a back-to-back Heisman Trophy winner, you got to make it unbelievably, no question, blown away.
And I believe
he's
there's
not
only
doing
been
that.
one back-to-back in Heisman
There's only been 2, only one back-to-back and only one 2-time winner.
Yeah.
And that's Archie Griffin.
Yep.
I'll tell you this, the Heisman want to keep it that way.
Yep.
The voters on that want to keep it that way. So fade Caleb Williams. I like it on Bo Nix a little bit. Who'd you say was 4? I'm sorry, you said Penix, Bo Nix, Caleb. Who was 4th? Sorry,
Dylan Gabriel, Oklahoma's quarterback.
Okay, who's 5th?
Jordan Travis, Florida State's quarterback. He's tied plus 1,700 with Drake May.
Okay, put your money on Bo Nix. There you go. That's how it rolls. All right, when we come back, I want to dive back into the Browns. Our Twitter question is up at Matt Fontana Show. Are you concerned about the Browns' future moving forward when it comes to the situation with Deshaun Watson? We'll get into that. Twitter inbox is open. We got it all for you. Stay with us. Fontana Show right here on Big Play. We just got done with all our bets with Tipico, folks. Get signed up. Use that code BigPlay150. We'll talk some more Browns next. Back here on the Matt Fontana Show, Big Play. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Check out our Instagram page. It's all at Matt Fontana Show, and that's where you get our Twitter question this morning, Ryan. We're asking everybody, are you concerned about the Browns' future when it comes to Deshaun Watson? 63-37. People say yes. I voted no. Because the start has been rough for Watson. He's not looked good when he has played, and now you have this injury. But you have to hold out belief and hope that the injury will remedy itself. He will eventually get healthy, and he will revert to form of what he is. People keep saying that's wrong to do. You can't keep putting stock in that. He might not be the same quarterback. I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. He is the guy for the Cleveland Browns for at least this and next season. Beyond that, yeah, maybe you could swallow a little bit more of that money. Beyond that, the Browns are probably facing a massive rebuild after that, where some of these key players won't be here anymore. This year was such a pivotal, just important year for the Browns to, like, win, as always, but, like, they had all their pieces in place. Next season, you are going to be missing some key guys on this team one way or another. Roster cuts, money saving. Grant Delpit. I tweeted this out yesterday. You know who the second best safety in the NFL is giving up passer rating? Grant Delpit. When targeted, his quarterback rating allowed is less than 30. Grant Delpit has made himself a lot of money so far this year. I don't think the Browns are going to be able to keep him. What's the future for guys like Greg Newsome? Dude, we haven't even thought about this. What's the future of Myles Garrett? How many more years? And that's not a shot at him or anything. It's just how many more years? Like, you had it built up that you had this team with all these good players, and now you've hit a speed bump. And I want to stay positive about it. And I want to believe that even if Sunday goes bad, probably will, you still have 12 games to right the ship. And am I going to ask them to go 8-4 in those 12 games? Yeah. Can they go 8-4? Yeah, they can. There's a stretch of games coming up that can get it done. You want to talk about the overall future of the Cleveland Browns. That's kind of more where we were kind of moving this conversation, right? I'm talking more about the big picture. And another reason why I feel confident that they'll be able to get it fixed. Do you believe that the Deshaun Watson money has been as impactful as you thought it out to be? Because when you sign the deal, $230 million fully guaranteed, we thought that this is going to be, we're going to be hamstrung. We're not going to be able to make the moves that you want to. You're not going to be able to maintain the flexibility. Well, Ryan, all I've seen from Andrew Berry is the moving of the money that has allowed them to remain flexible. And I know that there's always going to be, you have to pay that money. That money doesn't go away. They move it, they void year it, they kick the can down the road. The way that I look at it from this is, it's like you're going to pay interest. When you get a credit card, when you get a car loan or a mortgage, what do you have? You have your principal that you're paying towards, and you always pay the interest. When I see what Andrew Berry does with this money, with these void years, I am just going to assume that every single year, you will have $10 million roughly that is just allocated towards interest, right? Money for Jadeveon Clowney when you got out of that deal. Money for all these deals that you do because they spread it around. And as the salary cap goes up, that's probably a wise way to operate. So that's another reason why I'm not, if it goes bad with Deshaun Watson, there's an out. He won't be the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns after next year. And if you sign up and you say that you gave up all these picks and you did all this and it was a failure over 3 years, then you restart and you move forward. So that's, again, like the more the future of the Browns. Goes back to the conversation I had earlier. I'm a Browns fan. I root for the front of the name on the jersey, not the back. So as players come and go, I'm more worried about the health and the stability of the team. And Ryan, I think they're still in a good financial place.
Yeah.
Even with this deal, and even if Watson doesn't pan out. So you rolled the dice, you tried that, okay, it didn't work. But I also am leaving, the biggest room that I'm leaving, the gap that I'm leaving open is that Deshaun Watson turns this the hell around and he starts playing better. And that's what I hope happens. So I'm not concerned. My answer was no. Ryan, revisit your answer. Please tell everybody, are you concerned about Deshaun Watson's future with the Browns?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a loaded question. Am I concerned about his future with the Browns? Not necessarily. In the long term, no. I think he's going to bounce back from the injury. However, I would be amiss if I said I have 100% faith that this whole thing's going to work out.
You can't have hope.
And Matt, I don't know if you're going to have an opinion on this, but I just kind of had this thought. We've been talking about the future with Deshaun, and obviously Stefanski's likely to be the first canned, no doubt, if things go south.
That's how it goes, yeah.
But let me ask you this, and we've discussed a little bit about Andrew Berry too, and I don't know if you have an opinion on this, Matt, but what do you think the future is for Haslam if this doesn't work out? Do you think you could see him potentially moving on from the Browns in terms of just no? You think he's no? Because I did see a couple people question it, like this was his last if this doesn't work out.
I mean, the Haslam family is going to own the Browns for a long time. Like their son son-in-law, JW, he will become the de facto owner. A couple of things. You don't get out of the NFL business right now. You don't. Unless you are a situation like the Broncos where the heir apparent passed away, or not the heir apparent, but like the owner, they passed away and then the kids couldn't divide it up. Washington, because Dan Snyder's just a human piece of crap, and they forced him out, and it makes me sick. He got $6 billion. but it's bad business to get out of the NFL right now. It is horrible business to be out of the NFL right now. So they're not doing anything. Now, if you want to read into Jimmy Haslam made this move because he wants to go for it, this is morbid, and I don't mean it to do this, and I hope Jimmy Haslam has many years with us, but it's the old Mike Ilitch thing. I'm going to do everything and spend all the money that I can for right now because I want to see this now. Maybe that, sure. The Haslams they're going to own the Browns for a long time. There's no reason. And again, outside of them turning into Stan Snyder, I know there's people that hate the Haslams and they don't think they're good and all the how they run their business and all that. That's another part that kind of surfaced again this week with the handling of Watson or just how people feel. Oh, Jimmy Haslam and the Haslam's ownership and it rot. Somebody said the fish rots from the head down and all that other kind of. They're here. They're not going anywhere. Take it or leave it. I don't know what to tell you. To your point, right? No, there's no way. No, they're sticking around. And I guess when they made the move, I go back to how I felt when they made the move. And I said, there was a chance that this, but at least they tried. At least they rolled the dice. Did they do it on an unsavory character, a guy that had a lot of off-the-field issues that faced a fine and a massive suspension? Sure. But here's the thing. We weathered that storm. We are now out the other side of it, and this is where you are supposed to be starting good football. If the Browns were 4-1 after this weekend, or at least 3-1 going into this, and Watson was playing amazing and he was top 10 in QBR, we'd be having a lot of different conversations. But we're not. And the thing is, it's twofold. It's the injury, and then when Watson was playing, he didn't look good. You're right. The next page of the playbook is to fire Kevin Stefanski. I don't know about in season, but if it continues here's how it's going to go. You want me to get my little crystal ball out and we'll tell you how this is going to roll? This is where it's going to be. Watson, hopefully next week, will return from the injury. He will then play. If he plays good, the Browns should win games, and the heat will come off a little bit. But if he comes back, plays poorly, whether due to he's just not good or the scheme isn't good, or dare I say the shoulder is still bothering him, people will have no patience for whatever the reason is. If he plays poorly, it will reflect more negatively on Kevin Stefanski. The hot seat will turn up, and he will probably lose his job. That's how this is going to go. Right or wrong, if that's what is actually going to happen, but that's probably, that's how it's going to go. That's how it's going to go. There is no other way out of this. So you hope he comes back and plays better. That is literally your only real hope in this, that they flush the shoulder out and he returns to form. If he doesn't, it's going to cost some people their jobs. On Twitter, again, at Matt Fontana Show, are you concerned about Deshaun Watson's future with the Browns? 64-36 people say yes. Dan tweets, dude is going to be around for a while. I'm not concerned about his future. However, if you phrase the question, are you concerned about the Browns' future with Deshaun Watson? Then yes, I am. And that's the essence, Dan, of the question. It's kind of, you're right. You're getting into phrasing here, but it's more about the Browns' health and future. And that's where I come out and I say no, because I think the Browns they'll get through this. They'll weather it, that'll be fine. Brian tweets back, we're stuck with him for another 5 years or whatever the hell it is. I had very low hopes for his tenure in Cleveland based purely on the fact that he was never close to worth what we gave up and paid for him. On the field, he's fallen way short of even my low expectations. That's fair, Brian. That is. And that's where the pressure will start. That's you think the pressure has started now. Just wait. Add in another bad game or two and Watson comes back. Sunday, that's nothing. Sunday's nothing for me. You're starting PJ Walker, okay? Wash that away. But when he comes back against the Colts, when he comes back against some of these other teams, there will be no more excuses. The Browns and Deshaun Watson have used their shoulder token. They have now used the token. Here we are. He's injured. When he comes back, there will be no more of that because people were already neurotic about, he's he was medically cleared. It's not a pain tolerance thing. We've heard that over and over and over and over again. So when he finally gets back on the field, people will have no patience for that. They will have no patience for the injury, nor should you. So then it comes back to strictly a results-oriented business. Are you winning? And is Deshaun Watson looking good while you do it? If not, there will be changes. Stuck with the 5 years. If Watson plays the way he's playing, they ain't seeing anything past next year. That's 3 years. They'll have to eat some of that money. But yeah, we're stuck with him for now and for next year. Don tweets, dude is hurt for 2 games and people think he's done. That's fair. So Don would probably be voting no on our Twitter question on how you feel the future of the Cleveland Browns if he's concerned. My comeback to that, Don, is I don't have a lot to fall back on. I don't really want to go back to Houston. I don't want to go back to all those other things. We'll see. The test for the defense this weekend is something that I think you can take away. Okay, the Baltimore game, that was the morning of you got this shock and you're facing Lamar Jackson, and I just washed that game away. There's a really good chance that I just wash away Sunday too, okay? But at least now they know that PJ Walker is going to play, and I'm making the mistakes, Ryan, because I've not really been checking Twitter. We haven't had anything official yet, right?
I have not seen anything.
I haven't seen anything either. So I'm scrolling through trying to see things here. Nothing yet. But like at least the defense knows that. But you're facing a better offense in San Francisco. Baltimore, especially how they played on Sunday, I don't know what to make of their offense. I know San Francisco's is really good. So I will give them the benefit of the doubt that if they play well, I'll be ecstatic about it. But I'm also going to give them the pass. Almost regardless. Like, you know, unless somehow Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel all run into each other on a play and suffer a concussion and then all have to leave the game. Unless that happens and you have to face a bunch of backups, I'm almost giving the defense the pass right here today.
And Matt, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you that. Obviously, when you look back to the Baltimore game, we gave up 28 points, but the defense didn't necessarily play very bad. Obviously, as we said, it's hard for the defense to do anything when they're on the field for 30 minutes a game or whatever it is, time of possession. So going into this week against San Francisco, we know the offense has a very likely chance of being very stagnant again, like we saw with DTR. So how much do you put on that read into the defense's performance? Like, let's say they go out there, they hold a super, super good 49ers offense to, let's say, 20 points or it's 17, 19, anywhere between that range. And we end up losing the game, right? Like a 21-7 or something like that. How much are you looking into this game to read into how our defense really is this season?
I mean, that's the thing, and it comes back to how far can a defense take you? And we asked that question back on the show. Could they take you to a championship and all that? It's to your point, I almost don't want the defense to lose their momentum and swag on Sunday. And that's a hard thing because you know you're going to have to play to near perfection with how the offense is going to be. And you are facing a really good defense. So if they lose, and it's never just quite the scoreboard, right? If they lose 28-10, and those 4 scores were kind of spread out, and maybe you did get a turnover, maybe even a defensive score for San Francisco, you'd probably try to walk out of there and try to make the case for the Browns defense. Here's what I don't want them to do is to get smoked and then start questioning things. You know what I mean? Like they're playing with swag right now. And I don't want them to lose that. That's why like Sunday, people have tweeted it's like, it might just be better just like forfeit the game and you don't even have to play it. Like I get into that crap. But I don't want the Browns defense to lose their mo is what I don't want to happen Sunday. So you're right. There's a lot of things on how it could break down or exactly how Sunday looks. And that's your key to victory. If you want to come up with the game plan, if you want to create the narrative on how the Browns win, it has to be on defense. I would ask for at least 2 turnovers and a defensive touchdown. And I'm sitting here telling you that is crazy. That is absolutely crazy to ask that of a defense, right? That is insane. And especially a defense that doesn't, or offense that doesn't turn the football over. Brock Purdy does not get sacked and he hasn't thrown an interception this year. That is lunacy. But that's all I got, right? That's pretty much all I have is hoping that the defense can keep it gritty or get a score. The other issue that we haven't even really talked about here is another path to victory would be to do kind of what the Broncos wanted to do last night. You run the football and you keep their offense off the field. Can we do that? Especially if Joel Bitonio is not going to play. We don't have that officially yet, but he hasn't practiced. knee injury. We'll see. Like, that's a whole nother part of this, Ryan. Like, if I could run the ball, play ball control, is it supposed to rain Sunday?
I think it's supposed to be a light rain.
Okay. That, like, sloppy, nasty special teams. I said earlier, maybe a fake punt, fake field goal, return for a touchdown. That is the type of game that you have to play. The Browns are in a corner right now. They can't do it the tradition. You can't just roll the football out and say, all right, offense versus defense, 1 versus 1, we'll fade. Let's go. Let's compete. You can't do that. You have got to make this ugly. You have got to make this a sloppy run, defense, special teams type of game. Where's Jim Tressel when you need him? Can he be on the sidelines for the Browns Sunday just to give him a little momentum, a little boost or something like that? That is the kind of game the Browns are going to have to play. Is that possible? Sure. But I also worry that the 49ers are impervious to that. Because part of that game is that team coming down in the mud with you. That is that team coming down to your level and making it a sloppy game on their part. And I don't know if San Francisco, are they that, I guess, what's the way I'm looking for this, Ryan? I think they're too disciplined to let that happen.
Yeah.
That's the other problem. You are facing a team that across the board pretty much is better than you. Pretty much they have an advantage in a lot of different ways. Where you could get them is to make it that, like, have them fight your fight. But that would require a lack of discipline. That would require the 49ers to say, we are going to jump into that. And I don't think they're going to fall for that.
Yeah, Matt, let me ask you this too. And obviously we talked about the defense and the expectations there. And I like the point you brought up of keeping their swagger. So let me ask you this. Is there a position group on defense that you're most excited or most intrigued, like, to see against this 49ers offense? Like, for me, it's definitely the linebackers and Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to be a really hard test because with CMC, the unicorn that he is, there's nobody quite like him. You would need a speed guy to get on him. You know what I mean?
Like a JOK.
But they asked JOK to put a little weight on, in a good way, and I'm not trying to play revisionist history here. Can I give you a name? And I'm not trying to maybe spoil things at all for Jim Schwartz, but if I was sitting down, I'm looking at MJ Emerson, and I'm saying, you got that guy. He's in the slot.
Yeah.
He's in the backfield. Delpit is another one. I think Delpit could be another type of guy. And the Browns do have a little experience with, like, Lamar Jackson. Here's a dynamic player that you don't know where they're going to go, how they're going to do it, but you got to stay on them. I would dedicate one of those two guys, and it could rotate through. You can mix in Greg Newsome if you want, and say, that's your guy. You know what I mean? Like, you have got to... I like MJ for the size. I like Delpit for the size a little bit. People have been trying to stop Christian McCaffrey for how long? And they just can't, especially in this offense. Then you cycle in. Am I nervous that Deebo Samuel really hasn't had, like, a Deebo Samuel type game yet? Yeah. Go ahead and shut down Christian McCaffrey. Let's just start throwing it to Deebo Samuel. That's Denzel Ward.
Yep.
I know they're going to put Ward on Ayuk, probably. And you could say then you could match Ayuk's size with MJ, and then, okay, then you fold in Greg Newsome to go get on Christian McCaffrey. Then who's covering Kittle? Delpit probably should be on Kittle. And then you start that, like, Jim Schwartz probably all week has been doing that and trying to scheme up and circle this and circle that and do that. It's going to be an uphill battle for the Browns. I kind of wrap up the show this Friday by saying this. It's an unfortunate situation the Browns are in. We will watch Sunday. Watch with that grain of salt. Don't get upset. We'll do this show Monday as maybe talking us off the ledge, or maybe we'll have the biggest party we've ever seen at Big Play if they somehow get a win. Leave room for that, certainly. But Sunday is just going to be one of those games. And we'll have to turn the page and turn our attention to Monday and get ready for the Indianapolis Colts. I'm not fanning scared. I'm still going to watch. I'm still going to be a fan. I'm still root for the Browns. But understand the massive undertaking that they're going to have come Sunday. Don't say it's all bad. Again?
It like glitched.
Bug. I want us to get the hell out of here. I don't know what to tell you.
Sorry.
No, you're all good. Just take it easy for what it is for Sunday. a loss 50-3, still only one. You play close, you keep a little of that momentum, I'd love it. I'm all for it. But just go into Sunday with realistic expectations. And we'll turn the page come Monday, and we'll kind of get the update on Watson. I do think there is an element for this afternoon when we hear from Kevin Stefanski, if we get something tangible about Deshaun Watson. They will reportedly rule him out. Not shocked at all by that. But I'm just wondering if there's any more said when it comes to the injury, where he's at. They'll discuss a lot with PJ Walker, but we'll see. Browns assistant coaches are speaking now. Then they'll get the players, or then they'll get Stefanski. Then they'll get players a little bit later. So we'll keep our eyes on that. So Ohio State tomorrow, they'll get a win. If I got to make my pick, I'm going to say that they cover. I think that line is pretty good at 19.5. There's something playing about Purdue at Purdue, but I think they'll get that win. They got that cover last week, barely against Maryland. I expect Ohio State to come out. It's kind of scary. I don't like the line very much. I really like Oregon to get that cover against Washington. And I'll ride with Sonny there on USC falling to Notre Dame, so I'll have Notre Dame cover there. To the pro slate, a couple interesting games. Seattle, Cincy, we'll keep our eye on, and certainly Baltimore overseas. It'd be nice if the Titans were able to pull that one out, and I do take the Titans plus that 4.5 there, Ryan. So that'd be a nice little win there for the Browns.
Matt, how about let's just go this weekend? Obviously, like we talk about tempering expectations and everything. Let's just go stop Christian McCaffrey from breaking the touchdown record.
Yeah, because he scores again. That's where it's at. That'd be a nice little moral victory if you can get it. It's going to be a lot on the defense, and we'll see. Appreciate the support this week. We really had a lot of growth over the last couple of days, so we really appreciate everybody that spends a few minutes with us. You missed Noah Weiskopf. You missed Sonny Gupta. Go back. You can get it. We're on YouTube. You can rewind on Twitter once the show ends and rewatch it there. Of course, our IG page, Instagram's got all our clips from the show, at Matt Fontana Show. And Ryan, we bring it back next week. We will be doing the big play bracket right here on the show. We're going to do your favorite pop.
It's going to be a good one.
So I'll send a tweet out and solicit for your suggestions, and then we fill out the bracket. We'll do 16, and we'll kind of reintroduce the bracket to everybody on Monday. So we'll have that to kick off the week starting on Monday. Appreciate everybody. Chico's coming up 12-2 on a Football Friday. Don't miss it. Also, don't forget, Hanford Dixon with Greg Williams, The Return with Josh Maria Cribbs. You have Reflog on Monday. You've got Bonus Time with Bruce Drennan. You've got the hottest new show at Big Play, Ted Ginn Jr.'s show. It's all for you. BigPlay.com. Follow us across all the social media platforms for all the shows, all the videos. Big Play, where you want it, how you want it, when you want it. We're really growing something here, folks, and we appreciate you being a part of it right here, specifically with us on the Matt Fontana Show, or really the Big Play Network in general. Have a hell of a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the hell out of it, and we'll talk to you Monday. For Ryan Tyler, I am Matt Fontana, and as always, it's a little sweeter on Fridays. Take it easy.